And as you know, today I'm going to start the Devnet syllabus. So a bit on Devnet first, what this paper consists of, and what you would guys be getting to learn here. So let me give you bit of background on the Devnet syllabus. So it was 24th Feb 2020 when Cisco for the very first time introduced the track called Devnet. And this track, as usual, were launched in three hierarchical method. So one was the CCNA, CCNP, and now you have the CCI for it. Okay, and we would be covering the CCNA definitely 901 associate. Once you're CCNA DevNet certified, then you can climb the ladder. You can go towards CCNP. Okay, so CCNP consists of two paper. One is Dev Core, and then any of 6 to 8 concentration paper. Any one paper you can write it to be a CCNP certified. Okay, and the same core paper, the Dev Core, it's also act as a CCI DevNet written, and then you have to book your 8 hours of lab, and then you can attempt this. Okay, so the first appearance for CCI DevNet is also being started. So if you are dev core, you can anytime go and book it, but majority of you guys are still new, you are pursuing CCNA. So I'll discuss more about the CCNA part here. What do we get to learn? Okay, so if you get if you get some time, go to the Cisco certification. This is 200901 Dev Associate. It's 300 USD. The exam cost is 300 USD, including the tax as per which country you would be appearing from, how would you be booking if you use credit card, the conversion rate. But official price is 300 USD. You can appear it from Pearson website. Once again, this Pearson website, VUE. You can go here. You can sign in with your credentials, Gmail, or if you have a corporate ID, you will sign in. If you have a voucher code or a coupon code, you can apply that. And if not, you will book the exam by paying the complete amount. The good thing about Pearson now, after the COVID situation, is they let you to appear from your home itself. You don't have to visit any training institute. Earlier, you might know that when we did routing switching or any tracks from CCNA, CCNP as well, we had to go to institute to write it from the institute, right? Some nearby institute, we book it and we go there, write the exam and come back, right? But now we have both the option. Either you can book it some training centers, authorized training center, or you can opt for a work from home exam as well. Okay, so how it works is once you book your exam, the VOE is gonna give you a small application. I think I should also have that application somewhere. Okay, so there will be some application called as one voe.exe file. You have to install it on your machine. That application will perform some network testing to see whether your machine is compatible machine, have a latest browser. It will check your internet speed. Internet should be a must criteria to get into the next step. If your internet speed for some reason is not good, that application is gonna set that roadblock and you cannot move it further. Okay, so this test you are gonna do at the time of booking the exam. Okay, not when you're appearing for the exam. The first step itself is to test it. Once you test it, you will book it saying that yes, everything is good and now I can take the risk of appearing for the exam from my home laptop or from my home internet. Then you will pay the money. and you can set any date, might be a gap of 7 days or 10 days, whatever is feasible for you. When you appear for the exam, once again the test is gonna happen, that it's gonna do all the testing, like your camera testing, your browser testing, and then it will go to the network testing, and if that criteria pass on that particular exam day as well, then you will make a switch to the real exam. So you have to appear 30 minutes before, because there would be a uh, moderator on the other side who will evaluate your surroundings. He will evaluate you yourself on the webcam, and then he will give you a go green signal, and as per the time that you have booked the exam, your paper will appear in front of you. And once the paper appear in front of you, since it's a CCNA level, expect the multi question answer format, a question with 3 or 4 answer. You have to tick one of them, or sometimes there could be two answers, sometimes there could be a a drop option. So it's a CCNA format after all. Okay, so this is how the exam pattern looks like for Devnet Associate. And here is where you would book your exam, Pearson website. If you don't want to take the risk of internet glitch, book it over on a training center. Nowadays a lot of training centers are open all worldwide, so book it anywhere, go there and write the exam and come back, if in case you do not have a good internet speed. Okay, and this is the exam code. Remember, when you're booking either yourself or going to training center, 200901 Dev Associate. Okay, so let's check out the topics here, exam topics. So here is the PDF format. So categorized in a 6 chapters. So each chapter has its percentage, weightage. The first chapter 15%, API 20%, Cisco platform and development another 15%, application deployment and security 15%, infrastructure and automation 20%, and network fundamental 15%. Okay, if I elaborate the topic for you, so the first chapter, which says software development and design, here overall we would be learning some mechanism or some software best practices or software development from its software developer perspective. What is the best method to collaborate and work on a piece of code? Okay, what do you understand by the data formatting models? What are the different git operation or github? What is version control? We are setting a base to understand how a software industry work. So that is more about chapter 1. How, because you may not be from software side, but that is another domain, complete different domain. So before you start writing any code, you need to know how the software industry work. What are the different testing models, right? You don't code it something and on the next day you run on the production. They go via lot of testing first. Okay, on a lab environment, on a unit test, then it goes to the customers labbing environment, QA model, and then it goes to production. So in between there would be multiple developers who would be contributing to that single code. Okay, four different software coders might be doing part by part involvement in that, right? So there could be a lot of errors, fixing of that, bugs. So this is the first chapter where we will discuss about all the base fundamentals. The second chapter, which has the highest weightage, is about API, application programming interface. This is the core topic here in DevNet, which from network development or network automation perspective, this is the important topic for you. Okay, even if you go to the production, nowadays a lot of people don't want to rely on Python scripting or Ansible scripting. Instead they want to rely on APIs, because it's like the simplified method of automating something. You can do it via Python or Ansible, but you need to write the code. And if you do not have a senior person, might be your code can break it, and no one want to take the risk of it. What happens in API? The vendor itself are giving you the API, that this is the API. If you use this API, you can fetch the show interface of the Cisco box, or this is the API to take to collect any information from a Palo Alto. So they are giving you the call. You will just go put it in a format and fetch the output of it. A very simple method for automating anything. But again, API works on top of HTTP. Okay, so it will not work on your Cisco router or switches which do not have HTTP protocol, because most of the time on that side we have the SSH protocols running, right? So API don't work on SSH, neither telnet. API work on top of HTTP. So we'll come to that. Otherwise everyone would have used API, but yes, 80% all device or technology nowadays are working on HTTP fundamentals. So APIs are like 80% you can use anywhere. Okay. When you go to chapter 3, what Cisco has done is, whatever a bit of knowledge you have from API or bit of knowledge from Python, they don't expect you to be expertised in Python as a core developer. Neither they treat you as a automation engineer or one who has hands on Ansible. So what they have done is, they just ask you, they just want you to have some sort of knowledge on how something can be automated on enterprise devices, on collab domain, on security, on data center. Okay, so different tools or language that you can use here, that official document says is, either Python you can use it, either APIs you can test it. Okay, or might be you can use the Yang model. These are again APIs only, Yang model, RESTconf and NetConf. Okay, but from different platform. That is what the chapter is about: Cisco platform and development. So if you see this, this is all DNA center, data center. ACI is a data center. SD-WAN is a enterprise, right? If you see this, this is again more like your data center storage devices, servers. If you see this, this is Cisco collab devices. If you see this part 3.5, it says Cisco security domain. This is data center. This is your routers XE family. Okay, so we'll see how the sandbox, Cisco sandbox, what is Devnet sandbox. We will see the Yang model. Okay, and some test examples of how can you fetch something from SD-WAN or ACI by running some Python script or API method. Okay, so it has 15% of weightage. So you not need not to be a expert here, but you should have some visualization or some sort of understanding how something can be automated on your respective domain. Okay, so overall kind of thing. So I'll give some examples here. I'll run some Python script, I'll run some APIs, I'll show you how can I take a DNAC or ACI or a SD-WAN, how can we run some test over on those technologies. Okay, so that is your chapter number 3. Chapter number 4 is towards a knowledge on the different hypervisors, like hypervisor type 1, type 2, what is CI/CD pipeline. Okay, now this is a DevOps topic, but they have included it so that you know what is it. They have included something called as Python unit test. I told you that how the software industry works. They have their own testing model, right? There is a topic called Docker file. When you do a testing, you cannot bring all the hardware and keep in front of software engineer. If you're testing something on Nexus, you cannot bring the complete chassis and give it. The software developers will build some Dockers for each uh, target images, might be a Nexus, might be some Windows machine, Linux machine, or any sort of AAA feature, and they will run the test on them because that's much feasible for them. They can create Docker for anything, run the test. Once the test is good, then they will send it to the lab environment, and there you will test it on very similar hardware that the customer is having. Then the script goes to the further stage. Okay, there you have to test it on the customer's lab environment. If both the lab environment gave you the 100% result, then you will run it on customers pilot batch. That means one device at a time. Okay, not all at a time, only one for first. If the script works good, then you can do the batch of 1,000 100 whatever, and then you can push it. So that's a unit test model. Okay, and they have also included some security vulnerabilities and security attacks. Not sure what it has to do with devnet, but might be they want you to know about the different attack because you are dealing with http protocol, https, which has always some loopholes, right? So some sort of security concept, nothing to do with automation. We just have to see the different threats, different attacks. Think from CCNA security if you have been to that. So some topic from that over here. Okay, and some topic from DevOps, again a simple principle, nothing major here. And then in the chapter number 5, they are more into the Yang model now. So we will discuss about two protocol, RESTconf, NetConf, some automation tool examples. Here is where the Ansible is included, Puppet, Chef, okay, any different tools that we have. The Cisco's own test unit model, PyAt, okay, this is the lab environment, VIRL or CML, okay, and the different APIs on the target devices. And the final chapter is purely CCNA routing switching. Okay, and now why they have kept this chapter 6 is what happens to a fresher or a college passed out who want to get into network automation. So now he don't need to do CCNA routing switching, which is called CCNA Enterprise. He don't have to do that paper 200301. Instead, he can opt for DevNet. And when he come to DevNet, might be he is aware of Python, Ansible, CI/CD, because nowadays you will see this sort of curriculum in even in the computer science background, but he may not be aware of any networking devices, right? So for those people, they have kept this topics. But I think you guys are already working on network industry. You are already having experience. So this topic is kind of repetitive topics for you. You don't need to prepare something. You might already know what is MAC address, what is VLAN, what is a IP address, what is route, what is subnet mask, what is switch, what is router, what are these application layer protocols, what are these layer 4 protocols, okay, what are these NAT, what is VPN, some networking topic. Just making sure that someone who is totally fresher, who wants to get into network automation, at least know the basic on networking. That's why chapter 6 is completely focused on network fundamental. Okay, so this is how the associate paper is categorized in 6 chapters together. And as I told you, this is multi question pattern. It's not that you're gonna write paragraph of answers or you're not gonna code anything. There is no simulation of any coding. There is no scenario that they're asking you to take the backup or take the show interface and you are busy writing the code. Nothing. Okay, there is not even any SSH libraries that they have mentioned here. So in Python, they have mentioned libraries, but that is again from the HTTP libraries that they have mentioned. Okay, so that means, see, any box, okay, they can have multiple mediums or mode of communication. So a user can talk over SSH or Telnet or HTTP. Okay, the DevNet topic is more focused on HTTP. The Python that they have covered in DevNet is also based on HTTP only. Okay, but now since we have worked on lot of Python libraries, we know that Python itself is not gonna give us a complete solution. Python has to have a respective library, and that using that library function, the different module syntax, we can run the script, right? So here, to deal with HTTP, there are libraries like request library and something called NC client library. Okay, you may not have heard this because so far inside Python we did NetMiko, we did NEPAM, PyNTC, okay, Norneo, which totally were taking SSH 22 protocol to talk to devices. But now, since we have seen them practically, now we will see Python with HTTP libraries. Okay, request library and NCC library. So I'll show you this when we are starting with the Yang model. Okay, the netconf and restconf example. Okay, so for now we will focus on HTTP first. When time comes, I'll show the rest of the part here. Okay, so that was about the CCNA level. I mean, once you're done with CCNA, definitely you will focus towards the CCNP. When you go to CCNP, this is the DevNet CCNP, which has one core paper, or also called as mandatory paper. Okay, and then you have to choose any one concentration paper. So if you see this paper, okay, this is also a core paper of CCNP Enterprise. Okay, so you can write this paper, and then you can write this paper to call yourself as a CCNP DevNet certified. And also this paper, as I told you, it serves CCNP Enterprise. Now you can be CCNP Enterprise plus CCNP Dev Core or DevNet certified. Okay, I don't know how many of you know the current syllabus, but let me put it here. So when it comes to CCNP level, from enterprise and from the DevNet perspective, so here the mandatory paper is called Encore. Okay, and here the mandatory paper is called as DevCore. Now you can take that paper, which can give you both dual CCNP certification, because N auto is a concentration paper for enterprise as well as DevNet. Okay, so if you write this paper along with the two other mandatory paper, you can call yourself as 2 into CCNP. Okay, normally what people does who are not into automation, they go to CCNP, they go to enterprise, they go to Encore, and they go to NRC, right? The reason is, might be they are targeting CCI enterprise lab in future, so they think that a advanced routing switching can be later on useful in the lab and syllabus. But who knows, might be you have a different plan, you don't want to have a CCI and lab now, instead you are focusing on the automation side. So I would recommend do the dev core, which is a core paper, and instead of NRC you can think of an auto paper. because this is a single paper which is forming concentration for both the track. Okay, you have to select and clear one of the concentration to 100% CCNP certified. Okay, just having the core will not give you, it's like a half done. Just having core is not gonna give you any CCNP certificate. You have to do one more exam from the concentration. Okay, so if you are a routing switching guy, then go with an auto because that's the enterprise solution. But if you are the security person, then you have a different paper here. If you are a service provider, then you can select this. Or if you have data center, you can select DC Auto and Collab. This is the paper. So this four paper is relevant or is also the concentration for enterprise security data SP, okay, or collab. But apart from that, if you want to totally dedicate yourself to automation, then there are three more papers. Majority of you might have heard about DevOps, because DevOps is also something which is booming this day. A lot of jobs you will see in Amazon or Google, LinkedIn asking for a DevOps engineer. Okay, so if your priority is to get into DevOps, then this certification is a good one for you. You do the core paper, then do the DevOps. In case you want to get yourself, because some country might be DevOps is more in demand than DevNet. Okay, so I don't want to tell you that do DevOps or do DevNet. It's about your region and your surrounding and the companies that are having the demand. So if you feel DevOps is having more demand, then yes, you can, you can do this paper here. So this paper will give you lot of hands-on on DevOps side. So you have Kubernetes, okay, you have virtualization, you have so let's see the outline of this. Okay, so review exam topic. Okay, let's see the PDF. Yeah, so you have CI/CD pipeline, very important. In short, what CI/CD pipeline does it's gonna build a platform where the software engineer, network engineer, test engineer, might be customer visibility, everyone are on a same model. So if you push something, the other person get to notify. You might have heard about build release, build version, version control. So they are all part of CI/CD pipeline. Okay, there are different tools using which we can achieve this, like Jenkins tool. There are some tools like Open Stack or something like that. There are a lot of tools which we can use and build this. It's nothing but continuous integration and continuous delivery. Here for DevOps person is packaging and delivery of application, automating infrastructure, cloud and multi-cloud, logging, monitoring metrics, and some security topic again from this DevOps side, not your data security. Okay, so this is about DevOps. So let's come out of that. And finally, I just want to show you the CCI part. So those people who have done dev core and don't want to write any of concentration paper, okay, because might be your target is not to have CCNP DevNet, instead have the CCI DevNet, because this is again a lot of demand nowadays, CCI DevNet. Okay, so for you guys, this is the track. This is now on version 1, beta version. Okay, so once again the PDF is here. You might have to code some scenarios at least in the in the expert level. So whatever we learned in the first two phases is not gonna go waste okay, because you're using them in the production, however. But when you go to the expert level, definitely there are some where you will try to code and fetch it, because there are some examples set by CCI Devnet curriculum that you are taking the output of backup. Let me show that. See here, automate the configuration of XC network device including this component. So you have to write some automation script here. And you know that now we have done lot of scenarios in our practical, when we went with Python, when went with Ansible. So the some topics will be very easy for you to crack. Okay, so whatever you learn, don't stop practicing, because they will be used somewhere, at least in your production, or at least when you go to your CCI track. Okay, all right, so that was about certification. Go to this website, you will even find the pricing of all the track. So I don't want to say what is the price and all those things, because that's all visible on their official track itself. Okay, so let me close the rest of the file and just keep devnet for now. Software development, understanding and using API. So for today I'll take up something from chapter 2, okay, because this is one of the important topic, as well as its most interesting topic of your devnet. The rest are like theory topic. I just have to put the points and you have to just take it up. I don't know how good you take it, but there is nothing like I can show some examples here. At least I can show some examples to give you some ideas. Okay, so let me first take the API and HTTP part. In the next class, then I'll show you some. I'll move towards the chapter 1 and chapter 2, and then that's how we will proceed. Okay, so let me put it. Let me put the topics for the day. So we will see what is API. So when I say what is API, I will show you what are the different type of API, and on the basis of the architectural point of view, okay, for functionality point of view, how can we divide them. Some examples I'll definitely give you here. And what do you understand by a northbound versus southbound API. Okay, now APIs is just, I can say, just like a might be like a technology, I can say. They need some protocol underlying, okay, and the underlying protocol is HTTP now. So API is just the technology of simplifying or fetching or deleting something. But what it is relying on? It is relying on HTTP. So when you are performing API over on the HTTP, you should also know what is HTTP consist of. Okay, so we will see the different HTTP operations. We will see the HTTP's header. Now this consists of two header. They consist of three basically. One is called the general, the response. Okay, sorry, the request and response. Let me put that way. Request and response. Okay. Then, since this is a server client model, I hope you are getting that server client, because client will make a call, server will give back the data. So someone is calling, the other one is delivering the data. Okay, so there could be always an issue at server side or client side. You might put some Wireshark, take the logs, then you see some code like 400200. So the status code, we will see the different status code here. Okay, and then I'll show you some examples using postman method today. How would you run any API call over on HTTP, and we will try to demonstrate all these things like the header used there, okay, and the status code, whatever we might have learned in the first few things, we will just see that, okay. So these are some topics for the day. First, let me start with API, application programming interface. Okay, so when I say interface, when I say programming and application, just think in this way: you have your networking box which has interfaces, right? All the network boxes has. If you take Nexus or ISR router, ASR router, or your SD-WAN or whatever, they all have some sort of interfaces like gig 0/0, or some we might have like management 0, right? We are basically programming these interfaces. These interfaces are programmed so that I want to fetch the output of show IP int brief. Okay, so I can fetch it, I can make a API call on the respective interface. I'm programming that interface and I'm fetching that using another application, right? So what is that application? Might be a postman application. So I'm writing some code here, I'm making a call. That call will go and talk to that interface. It's basically programming sort of thing. It will talk to that interface, and whatever you want to fetch it, you're fetching it back on that postman application, right? So your interface is being programmed or controlled by an application. That's nothing but API. Okay, and API, as I told you, is a technology mechanism. It rely on protocol HTTP. Okay, so what are the different types of APIs? Type of API. So depending upon the usage, I can put them in 4 class. One, open API. Second, internal API. Then partner API, and then composite API. Okay, so when I say open API, it's open to the crowd. Say for example, let's say some IRCTC. I hope you know what is IRCTC. These APIs basically are open in nature. There are a lot of ticket vendors who can make use of API calls and get to know the reservation, etc., etc. Okay, because this is a government based and they have given the access to lot of reservation. But do you think the same with airlines? Might be not all airlines will expose their APIs to a general reservation. Might be there could be some dealers or some main distributors, and they might sell the APIs to the local vendors, right? So we have the provision of APIs, either it's publicly revealed, okay, or we have to pay and get it, or could be a partner, okay. So depending upon, APIs are divided. So I'll show you one example as well. So if you see one website called as Waze application, which is used for traffic. Okay, it will show you all the details like traffic, if there is any roadblock, etc., etc. So how these people are creating their own version of map showing the current utilization of the road. This is the actual road, okay. So basically these people will have the access to multiple APIs, okay, offered by uh, big government or some sort of private organizations, okay, municipalities, some partners, and combining them, they have formed their website, okay. So they depend on multiple open source APIs, and they build some application which can be used by a lot of users. So it's a kind of a user benefit application which is relying on multiple open APIs. Same thing you don't think for an airline. If you're booking, let's say Jet Airways, okay, don't expect that would be so easy for someone to get the API of these people to track what's the next flight, what's the availability, what's the cost, etc. They will not reveal it because this is more confidential. They might give it to their partners. Okay, partner in the sense like how Cisco is considering Pearson as their partner, and then Pearson will have their own recognized centers, okay, by might be they have their some clause or some sort of terms, and if they agree then they can become a partner, otherwise no. So similar way, when it is towards some uh, kind of more public and more secure and etc, then they have to be partner API, they have to go with partner API. So one has to pay, get those API, then they can distribute to the other local vendors, or they can have their own ticketing tools, and they can build some applications for reservation book ticket booking, okay. So that's partner API. You can also think about AWS. So if you're buying some service from AWS, you pay to them, then they will give you the APIs, and then if your application is making call for some storage, some image if it has to pull, or some authentication purpose. So for whatever reason it is, the APIs will be given by Amazon to you guys because you are partner, you have paid for the service. Okay, that's a partner API. Internal API is now, uh, let's say it's not accessible for any external users, and this is only used for internally. Say for example a government recognized service, this may not be accessible to any private vendors, okay. So this will be only used by its own R&D team for some development, or some own confidential information, because there could be a lot of confidentiality and they don't want to reveal it, but at the same time they are developing some protocol or something, right? So it will be just internal to the organization. Let's say Cisco is working on some latest hardware, okay, some Nexus, some box, it's working on the API. Now that API is in a testing phase, right? So only Cisco's R&D team, business unit, might be the testing team, might have the API access, and they're trying to build this. Once this model is good, tested, then might be they give it as a partner API or open API if they want to reveal it to the complete crowd, okay. So that's about internal API. Regarding the last one, composite API, it's when you mix one or two items, okay. So you want to have open API plus some partner API. You're building a tool which is dependent on both of them. So in that case, you can call that model as a composite model, okay. Let me see if I can show you some example. So if you see this tool, So these people provide APIs. You can buy API. By the way, let me tell you, there are sites where you can buy the APIs also. If you say want to buy API, okay, you can also sell your APIs. Now these are all commercials, and yeah, this website. So here you can acquire a lot of APIs. You can search what you want and get them. Or if you have a good API solution for some vendor and you want to sell it, you can do that as well. Okay. So I was showing you this website, spotlight.io. Basically, these people are into APIs. You can build your APIs. You can or you can buy something and you can check out. Okay, so it will go towards multiple options like open source or a shopping cart or a login process, and might be one is getting authenticated with the AWS server, the other one is going towards the PayPal for transaction. So different APIs under single dashboard, right? So this is some sort of example for composite APIs when you have requirement of two or more API methods. Okay. Sagar, sir, yes, go ahead. One query. Mm-hmm. Like this APIs are like given by the Cisco team or any of the application team. So these are the some keys where we are able to access using HTTP method, right? Yes. So how we are going to use it? Is it we have to code in Postman, or you just need to use those HTTPS in the URL, those API URLs and the keys, or we have to hard code it using Python? There are multiple ways. As I said, I will show example. So I'll show one example of Postman, but we can hard code in Python, okay, or we can build some web application and then we can make a call towards the API. Okay. All right. So from type of API, let's go to the functional classification over on functionality. Okay, so here comes the important one, REST API. Okay, now we will use in our networking the REST API method. Apart from this, we have something called SOAP, which stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. Okay, I say that we don't use much. This can be used in application development or app development, like gaming app, transaction app, PayPal app, because this go over on a very secure concept. Okay, they use a high security, and it is the data are encoded over XML. Okay, so it's not gonna be widely used in at least automation side, network, because network we are relying over here. Okay, it is less secure and it make use of the JSON model, which is more user friendly. And the third type of functionality I can say is from the JSON remote procedure call, or also this is usually called as XML RPC. Okay, and this method is the uh, most straightforward method compared to the rest two. This was being used, the JSON RPC was being used, but now most of people go with the REST method because it has some useful principles, and for that principle REST API is found more handy than compared with JSON or SOAP. As I told you, SOAP is more towards application building, more secure, more XML. You will face lot of complexity. But REST API, let's say why REST API and what is REST API full form. So it stands for representational state transfer. Representational state transfer API. Okay, it has 5 important feature. And also remember, it's a client server model. Okay, let's see what are those 5 important principle or features here. Why it dominate in network automation. So first thing is, sorry, I could write client server here itself. It's a client server model, and uniform interface. Okay, so uniform interface in the sense when you are making use of HTTP call, okay, you can maintain the same data transfer between client and server. So if you are making use of JSON, you can also expect client responding back over on JSON. Uniform interface. Then it has something called as stateless feature. That means by default there will be no information of the client stored in the server. Okay, each transaction has to be made. First thing, there will be each API, which I can also call it as transaction. Okay, so let's say that each API call or transaction has to be made. You cannot say that I have already made this in my last processing, now I don't. So catchable in the sense, the transaction between client and server, nothing gets cached until it is being asked to. And if it has to be cached, then there would be the cookie, the example like cookie, the browser will store it, right? Whether to catch or to to reduce any exhaust on the server. Layered system is, even if your request and response is going through various servers between client and server, it will still be managed. The initial calls will not get modified, or they don't get dropped or something. Okay, it will still manage between various servers. After that, I showed you the southbound and northbound API theory topic. So from three plane management concept, the 3 planes of device, the control plane, management plane, and data plane. So I just showed you where is this API. Okay, so we discussed about southbound, northbound. This is the example of 3 SDN solution for data center enterprise WAN. And then we move towards the, I said I'll show you API and Palo example end of the class. Then I went with the HTTP concept. So we discussed the HTTP operations: get, post, put, patch, delete, and what this functions does. Then we discussed about the CRUD method, which is also uh, used for database modification or alteration: create, read, update, delete. These are the HTTP headers. So there are 3 headers we see normally: general, response, request. So general will have some prerequisite or predefined. Response will have some predefined, and request will have some predefined here. Okay, and this was some example between server client. We were checking the inspect object on the browser, so I had put this there. Okay, and the status code we discussed, I put the different status code. And after this example, we went with one of the Palo Alto and the Postman method. Okay, so I said in the next class as well, I'll elaborate that example. So let me go to my server. and let me see if that Palo is still open. So give me a second. I'm logged into my server here. Mm, okay, not this. Connect. Execute. Okay, so I've logged into my server. Okay, so I have the Palo Alto IP. I'm also waiting for Fi to come up. So if I have them, then I can show you the connection. So this is 1626.25. Let me see if I have the same IP. Okay, it has been changed. 26.25. So I'm gonna change this 26.25. Same goes here. API key you do not need for the first transaction, because first transaction I would go with the post method to fetch the new API key. Okay, so I click that. So the URL already has defined username and password, which is nothing but this username and password. And in the header, we are not dealing with any API key, because this is the request where we are fetching a API key. Rest all the other elements you can keep it. As I told you, authorization you can yeah, for this you have to have the authorization. So you can say inherit authorization from parent. That means whatever you have defined, or you can also put basic authorization and keep this, and remove this as well. Something not this way. Remove this here. If you're not keeping username and password on the API key. So you have multiple ways, because after all, this is a dashboard. So either you can say set the authorization by setting basic authorization, or you can set directly in the URL. So in that case, you say that inherit from parent. Header, no, nothing to be carried as of now, because this is very first transaction happening. So make use of send button. It will contact your Palo Alto over on SSH or username password. It will fetch you the API key. Rest of the connections, rest of the transaction, you can still make use of the concept of username and password. But if you replace with your if you set some new variable as API key or something, this variable you can use it later on your other API calls header. Say, for example, if I go to get address, so this call is gonna fetch all the object. Okay. Now I can tweak my headers. I can delete this. So if I delete this, my API is not called in the header. So either I have to bring that concept of username and password defined here, or I have to go and make use of basic authentication, and then I can go with this. So if you go with this, username and password is getting fetched, or if you have included API in the header, then that API key gets uh, taken in the header and the connection would be made. Okay. So when I click on send button, so it says success. That means it has successfully authenticated. The list is put up here. The complete output is put up here, empty or missing or so and so. So let's open one by one. Okay, so empty, missing information, full report. So this is my full report. So it starts with status code, and then we have the information. So these are my objects: testnet 1, testnet 2, testnet 3. Okay, this I fetched from the online device. Okay, so until it come up, let me show you by creating something. So when I create something, as I told you, the HTTP operation will change. So when you change something from the drop down menu and save it, it will also change over here. Okay, so if you make it get and save, this will automatically get changed to get. So whatever you make the change here, it will reflect on this side. So you said it's a post method. This is your PAN dashboard IP, port number, REST API, version ID, and then you said that you want to create something. Okay. So when you create something, you will definitely need to define the description, IP address, or whatever, right? So as I told you, that's called as payload. So I'll go to body, and here I will change it. So let's say I say this as automation batch object. So this is the name of that. So I will update over here. That's the name of that object. Location is this. If you're maintaining different locations or different customers in a single Palo Alto, you can make use of it. Let's say the IP address is this. And this we did under change window, something like this. Okay. Now this is a post method. It will carry the content, the configuration content. It will go and hit this API call, and it will configure this as well. Okay. So once again, if I show you, you can either keep in the API key, or you can say no authentication, because in the header, let's confirm. Yeah, we have it. Okay. So as I told you, header is the first dominating thing. If you define in the header, it is gonna take it from there. If you have not defined in the header, then comes this option. Okay. So here, let's say if you give API or whatever, see add to header or so and so, you can do that, or you can say no authentication. That's also fine. All right. So let me send this. So I have to see the success message first. Status 200. So it's all good. Let me see the different encoders here: JSON, XML. So if I make a XML, so it's giving me the output. It's HTML. Okay. So different encoders I have. By default, it is selected on JSON. So now to verify whether whatever you did is successful or not, you can go back to get address and rerun on that. Okay. Automation objects. I see that it's created now. If I see the full output, so we should, okay, let's say, okay, so this is created right now. Yes, and the rest of the things are committed purpose. Okay. So what has happened, let me show, remind me later. If I refresh this, so you see whatever config I have pushed right now, it is under the candidate config. Okay. So Palo Alto maintains two config. One is called running config, and one is called candidate config. So the push from Postman I did, it went to this. Now someone approves that, some admin approves this, then it goes to the running config. So that is why you see this being highlighting. I can go and click on this commit, and it will show me the change. If I click on preview change, see, I just added this, right? So it is under the candidate config. It's not on the real box. That's how Palo Alto works. It's not like our Cisco ASA firewall. The instant you do something, it reflect. It will first go to candidate. Okay. So that on upon committing, it will be in the real boxes. So in real boxes, let's see what object we have it. So if I go to, Okay, so I think that is been okay. I think that got overlapped with the new one. Okay, see here it is showing me all the three. Success command so and so. Okay, let me fetch once more. Okay, I think this is the current this one. Let me change and or let me add something more. Let me create one more. Let's say I want to create one more. So this is IP43 and send it. Okay, success. Let's refresh this. Yeah, see now you have the second one, and under commit it will start reflecting. Okay, so whatever I had previously, that is from my previous classes, not, and so don't get confused. Okay, so let's fetch the latest output now. It will show two of them. See, okay, so with one call I could create something on my Palo Alto even without logging to that. And this collection also has commit changes, but I have not done it because it's a lab environment. Then I have to delete and bring to factory reset config so that I can show it to the other classes. So that's why I didn't do this. Okay, but if I do this, it will also commit it from the API side itself without logging to the box. Okay, so that was about the object. Let me show some other HTTP operation. Now I'm going to show you put method. So I told you for put method, something should be existing. You're trying to only replace now. Whereas the post method is when you are creating something. So this will not create, it will only replace or modify. So now we created this one, right? So I'll take this one. I'll say this object I want to replace. Okay. So this object, uh, I don't need what 43. I don't need this. Neither I need that description so and so. Might be I want to put the description this and I want to replace the IP with this. So I'll say send success. Let's refresh here. See, the replace happened. See, description also changed. Okay, so that's the difference between post and put. Post will create the new set of config. Put will replace an existing one. It will not create a new one. Same goes with another method. If you want to create what some more object, test one, test two. Okay, let me show something for delete because we have seen post, put. Okay, let me show you something for delete now. So to delete, let's say I want to delete this. I'll take the name of this. Okay. Nothing required in the body because it's after all delete, right? You are not creating some set of config. So you can click on send. Yeah. Remember to keep delete option now. Click on send. Status says okay. Let me refresh. See, it's gone. Okay. What happens when you try to delete it when it's already been deleted? Let's see what would happen with our status code or what error or something new happens. See, now what happened when you try to delete, it was already deleted. You are getting this error code 404 error code. Okay, now when does that happen? So if this is postman, this is Palo Alto, it is sending a API request, it's getting 404 error. So that means client side issue. Okay. And what is HTTP 404 say? You can just do HTTP 404 message. Requested item could not be found. Yes, because that was deleted in the previous step. So it's not available, right? So you get that kind of error. Requested item not found. Okay. So same thing, I just prepared some example for object, address object, services, if you know what is services in firewalls. Okay. So you can fetch all the services that's enabled in the firewall right now. So if you just elaborate it, you go to full, you will see some SV Flask. Okay. So I just showed some service we can create. How can we create some service, to delete a service, to create some application. Okay. Same thing with network folder. You wanna fetch the Ethernet interface, you can fetch that. If you're creating some interface, let's say 1.20, this IP address and some comment, this is your payload, this is your API call. Authorization, as you know, you can put that API, okay, and you're good with that. So sub interface, delete sub interface, get zones, create user zone, create server zone, delete zone, virtual router, OSPF routing, if you want to create. So it's a put method. Let's see the body content. Okay, so this is routing option, OSPF area here. This is the network ID you're advertising. This is the interface you want to add in that particular virtual router. Okay, so this is payload. Payload is in the JSON format.
Sagar,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't mind, can you so in the Python also how we can run? I mean, we can call the API. Actually, where we have to put the authorization information there. Yesterday you saw that, right? In the Postman only, we are seeing how to write the script, and we have to put that in the Python, right? In the
Hmm.
PyCharm.
Yeah.
But where we have to put the authorization information, right? Username, password. If you just show one for this, like this
Yeah,
only.
yeah. I will show. I will show that. Okay. So you can
Okay.
try that API key method only. Didn't you try that API key?
No, I didn't try. I just saw yesterday that you're saying that. So
So
yeah,
for
actually that will be useful.
API, for API, it was fetching that, right? Or no? So let's say if it is going to get service or some get address. Yeah, so it is already taken API key, so you don't have to actually worry. So if you take this whole thing
Okay.
and so the script which I got from the postman, it is relying on request library. As I told you, this is the library which will handle the REST API. This is the URL along with API call. Payload, we are going with the get operation. So payload is null. This is the header that we are adding up, header, and payload is null. So these are all, see, this get is the operation, header stands for this, and the payload stands for this, and you're making the function call
I
request.
Saga.
Hello, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is PyCharm, right?
Yes, this is PyCharm.
So this is how we do APIs from PyCharm.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So now when I execute, so yeah, before execution, remember request is an third party library. So you have to have it installed. So look for request. It will say Python STT for humans. You can just install it
Mhm.
and then you can just run the script.
Mm.
Okay, actually my PyCharm is trying to get index, so that's why it's processing. So I'll check after 2 minutes. Okay, once the indexing is done.
So here only, Sagar, we can add all other our other script also, right? Means
Yeah,
uh,
yes.
we can import
This,
other libraries and just make schedule or uh,
yeah,
Excel
yeah,
writing, all other things in the
yes, yes.
same.
You can
Okay.
do it here because now this is your PyCharm platform.
Uh-huh.
You
Okay.
you can add any libraries, and then you can convert and fetch it in your own way. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think now the indexing has done. So let me run this script. Okay, so this is what happens. As I told you in the Postman, we have that option of taking this off. Okay, this option. But here, what happened? We didn't add that. So the script what you get is 99% always ready. So there are sometimes some small minor thing might create an issue. Okay, so for this we have to add one single line. See, yeah. So you got that output called success so and so. Adding certificate verification is so and so required. Okay, unverified. So now you see now the verification has turned off, but you see the output. Let me take a different call method. Let's say get Ethernet send. So what is showing? Okay, it is showing this. Okay, so something with payload. Let me take this. I click on this. This is my script. I'll come here. Okay. So URL, this is my payload. Let me just edit bit of things here. Let's change the IP to 194. This I will change to something this. I say in the header, except I'm accepting this encoder, this and this content type, API keys here, cookies added. It's a put method. It's a header. Header is nothing but this dictionary. Payload is this, and I can say that verify false. Or let's take one object which we have and we can just change it. So these are object. Yeah, I think we had deleted that previously. So okay, so let's say I take this one which is already present because I went with the put method. Put will not create it. It will only replace the existing one. So that's why what I will do is I'll just change that object with something which is already present. Okay, then I'll rerun. Okay, now the status code is success. So let's refresh. See, your IP got changed. Okay, now it became 194. So let's say you wanted to change. See, it got changed. Okay, so this is the Python method. You can integrate with any other uh, script or for any other advanced scripting along with API, then you can use PyCharm method.
Okay, Sagar. Thanks.
I'll show some more example. Okay, in the
Okay,
upcoming
sir.
classes.
Okay, sir.
We can add some filters and also I have to show you the XML push also along with REST API. So these are all the REST API examples.
Yesterday session also, Sagar, that second, second session, right? The Zoom session. So that
Yeah,
recording
actually,
also available.
yeah, that recording actually due to some application issue, the recording got corrupt. So that is
Okay.
why
Okay.
today, first 10-15 minutes, I revised and recorded it. So in today's video, I'll put that.
Okay. So, thanks.
All right. So let me also quickly show for another vendor like Palo Alto. Sorry, FILTM.
Hi, Sagar.
Yes, yes. Tell me.
Actually, I'm facing uh, a issue with API call for uh, CSR device iOS
Hmm.
XE.
Okay. What are you trying to do?
I'm just making a post call, and it is giving me 404.
Okay. So you get 404 when basically files are not present, right? 404 message. Requested item could not be found. Might be you're requesting an interface or something which is not present in the box.
So I'm just doing the basic authentication and trying to fetch the token. Uh,
Okay, see, 1 second for XC. So for XC method, we can go with authentication itself, username and password.
right.
And what are you trying to fetch?
Uh,
Fetch or
I'm just doing the authentication. I'm just doing the post call.
post to get that API key?
Yes.
Okay, might be that is not supported there. So have you got the exact API call for XC to fetch the API key?
I am following one Cisco documentation. So
Hmm.
from there, I don't know whether it is same or not, because
Okay.
it is not matching with yours. It's a REST conf. I don't know whether it will work.
Yeah, so it will not match with Palo because Palo is a different vendor and they have a different method of calling their API. XC you should get in their website itself. But for XC, I have not preferred keeping API. I was going with the username password itself.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have not added any API in the header. Instead, I went with authentication method. Okay, so I'll show this example also. I have some collection for get, put, post, delete for XC. So I'll show this as well. Okay, so this is one call for fetching the interfaces.
Okay.
Okay, so this is F5. These are different functionality of a LTM box. And if we have a postman for that, F5. So we can also do similar sort of testing, like creating a pool or see uh, this was a post method to create something. Okay, so lab destination IP so and so. Let me see the management IP. Okay, so this is the API key which I have to update. Authentication so and so. Let's say send. Okay, status code. Okay, this is the token. Okay, so I'm gonna take that token, come here and update the big IPA. Save this. Now we can go back. Okay, so let's say create VLAN, a simple job. Okay, so authorization As I told you, I can go with API key or I can put this basic authentication. Okay, see, it's already token selected. So in that case, I can turn this off, doesn't matter. Okay, you have to first see whether API is inserted or not. If API is not inserted, you have other ways as well. And under body, we can create a VLAN. So I say I want to create this. This is the MTU set for that VLAN, tag ID. And this is the interface I want to assign to this particular thing. Then I'll click on send. Object not found. Okay, 400 is client issue. So this happens if, okay, this is, I believe this should be good. Interface 1.3. Okay, let me check network VLAN. Okay, so we have some VLANs already. 1.3 looks like is occupied. Let me try with 1.1. Yeah, now it went. Okay, because that is how F5 work. You cannot you cannot create one more VLAN. You cannot assign it to 1.3 because that would have been assigned. Let me try manually. If I do 1.3 untagged, add, finish. See, this is what error it gets. Requested member 1.3 is untagged on another VLAN. So you were trying to use the same interface for might be different thing for a untagged. If you would have gone with tag, then you can definitely tag and you can add multiple VLAN on a single interface. But since you went with untagged, you already had assigned. So F5 itself is not letting you to do. That's why you got that error called 400. But as soon as you fix that issue, now it has done. So we can verify that by going to VLAN. So you can see the new VLAN. Okay, so it's a concept of calling an API with all necessary header and payload. Push it, you should be able to do. So this is the usual method of using Postman. There is something here bottom like runners and all where you can actually call multiple things. Let's say so you can also select it. If you have some Excel with 10 to 50 API calls, you can select and it will reflect. I'm just trying to see if I can drag and drop. Let me double click. See, drag a collection. Okay. 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 So this is how. So we go to collection. We select here. I can turn off what is not required. So first, let's say I want to have the API thing. Might be then I want to create VLAN. Okay. So looks like I can run only one folder, that kind of thing. Okay. So, okay, since it's already, we are done with API key, let me try to bring this folder itself. Create a VLAN, get VLAN, create a IP, get IP, so and so. Okay, run F5 automation. Iteration, how many iterations you want to try, any delay between one to other API call, or we can just go with zero delay. Save response in case one is giving you 400 issue, one is giving 300 or whatever. And save cookies, keep variable, run F5 automation. Okay, see, this is how all the API, 10 different API will go ahead. See, the first one gave us error because does not have any test. This is good. does not have any test. Might be our config might be wrong or something. I have not checked because I wanted to show you this option of Postman. 200 okay, this is this is bad, okay, and get route, this is okay. So this iterations, we have the summary button here. So if I, okay, these are the summary. I mean, what we have executed. Export result. Okay, so that goes in JSON format. Okay, so this is how this runner option of Postman work. Let's say iteration 3, save response. Okay, run off fine. So you can see the iteration here, 1, 2, 3. View result, iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. Okay, so you have option of filtering here as well. Export result give you in JSON. The JSON are, however, not easy to open. Let me check that. Let's go here. Double click. See, this will not open directly. Might be we can try to import that in a test workspace. Let's say import, upload file. This is our response that was saved, right? Let me open it. Import. Yeah, see, it says that failed to import because that JSON file that's generated, that is not valid as a collection as well. Okay, might be it needs some a different tool to just open it. Check that out. Okay, so that was a little brief on Postman and how it works. So any doubt so far? So we checked Postman for Palo F5. We checked the corresponding PyCharm thing. Okay, so I'll start the next topic in the next class itself. So any doubt you have from today's session?
What will be next next class? What will be the subject or the topic?
Okay, so next class we will talk about XML, JSON, and YAML. Okay, one topic. Then the software testing methods, so, because we have some theory now. Then we will discuss the MVC method, MVC model. Okay. Then we have what we have software MVC. Yeah, we have CI/CD pipeline. Again, more like theory. Then we have Git and Git operations. And also I will show you how do you sync your PyCharm with the centralized GitHub account. Okay, so this would be next Saturday's class. And then on Sunday, I'll show you guys how do you create a DevNet sandbox account. Then I'll show you how do you reserve SD-WAN, ACI, DNAC boxes, and I'll show you the postman call. So during this call, I'll show you the Python method, and I'll show you both REST API and XML way of calling them. We will discuss the Yang model. So RESTconf, netconf, okay. And if time permits, then we have some security concept, some attacks, some bugs, vulnerability check, etc., etc. So these are some topic for upcoming weekend.
Sagar, if I want to send multiple objects for today Palo Alto, multiple rules, is from Python or can we do from Postman?
You want to configure multiple items.
Yeah, multiple objects or address groups or multiple policies, rules, and so on.
Yeah, you can do from payload as well. Either simplest option is what happens is you have to make two calls to create multiple objects. Okay, the single calls may not happen because I had once tried for creating I think it was whip or something. See, when I go to VLAN, okay, virtual server body. So this is one config, second config, third call. So you have to make three parallel calls. In a single call, you cannot create two different whips or two different object. So you can just duplicate this. There is an option here to duplicate. Go and change the payload, and then using the runner method, call all these three different calls and send all in a iteration. Okay, that is one method. Otherwise, you have your Python script. You put all the different payload, like this is payload 1, payload 2, payload 3, and just call it in that way. So like this is header 1. In the next, you will duplicate and put header 2 and then header 3. Sounds good?
Yeah, good. And if I want to make it variable, I should do it from Python, right?
Yes, if you want to make kind of this method. Or if you want to do a postman, then just duplicate, like I did 3 duplicate of a web. I can either go with the runner method, call this 3. Okay, so like 1 second. See here, I can just untick. And when I'm creating 3 webs, I'll just select only those 3 webs. And then I'll click on this runner. So all my 3 different virtual servers will create.
Yes,
Okay.
but if I want to make it variables or different, I have to go to Python, right? And I cannot make it variable or user input the value. We cannot do from Postman. It has to be from Python, right?
User input in the sense when you are executing something, the script prompts you, that concept.
Yeah, like for a daily operation, doing rules and so on.
Okay. Yeah, that will not be asked here. Here there is no option like it asks you during the prompt, so you can enter something. You have to define it. You have to define the variables before.
No, good.
Okay.
So the only way is Python now.
Yes, yes. That way, only Python. You can just define the variables.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, guys. So today I have captured the recording, so don't worry. So the last half class of the last day also I've just went through in today's 10 to 15 minutes, so you can watch it. Okay.
How many classes remaining, Sagar?
I think might be 2 weekends, I believe. So the upcoming weekend and 17, 18, I think we should be able to cover. Okay.
Okay.
Sagar, how to get the access to the lab?
Lab. So you're from the upcoming batch or you're done with the batch?
No,
You joined only the DevNet part, right? But you're part
yes,
of our upcoming batch, right?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay. Have you received the welcome kit mail?
yes.
Okay, so the instruction is put up there with the login credential.
Yeah, I
So,
have the login credential and I logged into the device and I can
okay.
see the videos are there. Yeah.
So you're able to spin up the lab and bring up PyCharm? No, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
I will show. I'll show on the first class. Okay, when I'm starting the class.
Okay.
So first class, I'll take you through all the lab environment and all those things. Otherwise, it's simple. Just open the GNS, spin up the lab, open PyCharm. I don't know if you have written anything, but if you have some Python script, you can test it. Otherwise, you have to wait for the class which I'm starting 11th. Okay.
Okay. I will talk to you separately because 11 I already discussed with you that I won't be able to join
Okay.
because of
Fine.
time. Yeah, time.
Okay. No issues. I can show you. Might be tomorrow or whenever you're free. Okay.
Sure, sure. Okay,
No.
okay.
All right, guys.
Can you
Have a
can you share
nice.
this Postman works or this scripts from Postman?
Actually, this is already shared. Let me tell you how do you get that. So if you go to your learning portal, go to your course that is assigned. Okay, so this is your batch. Go to Google Drive, and here so we have changed some Google Drive. Let me check if that's the same. Yeah, here in this folder, if you have downloaded, the Postman collections are kept within this. Okay, so ACI, XC, SD-WAN, Meraki, and I also have one collection somewhere where I got it from. Let me see if I have. Yeah, this one. So Postman itself has some sort of library or collection where you can find almost all the APIs, all the popular vendors. Okay, SD-WAN, DC, and then the data center, Cisco Umbrella, AMP, XC, okay, DNA Center. I'll give you this on the chat window now here in the Zoom. You can also bookmark it and use for your reference. All right, guys. I also put in the your WhatsApp group so that you can bookmark it. All right, so let's wind up for the day, and we will meet up next Saturday. Okay. So thank you everyone, and have a nice weekdays.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.